Hey everyone, so here's a question. What if I told you that eating a handful of blueberries every single day could literally change what's happening inside your body at a cellular level? Like, we're not talking about some vague, feel better kind of thing. We're talking measurable changes to your brain, your heart, and even how your body ages. Sounds wild, right? Let's dig into what the science actually says. Okay, so let's start with your brain, because this is where things get really interesting. There was this study done at the University of North Carolina, where they took people between 65 and 80 years old who were experiencing mild cognitive decline. You know, the kind where you walk into a room and forget why you're there, and had them consume wild blueberry powder every single day for 6 months. The results? Their brain's processing speed improved so much that it matched people who had no cognitive issues at all. Think about that for a second. Processing speed is basically how fast your brain can move information around, and it affects everything. Recalling words, making decisions, remembering phone numbers, even reacting to hazards while driving. Another study at the University of Reading tracked healthy older adults who drank blueberry powder for 12 weeks. They saw an 8.5% improvement in attention tasks. That might not sound huge, but when you're talking about brain function, that's significant. And it wasn't just attention. Memory got better too. The magic ingredient here? Anthocyanins. These are the compounds that make blueberries blue. And they're like little bodyguards for your brain cells. They cross into your brain and hang out in areas like the hippocampus and neocortex, regions that are essential for memory and learning. Research shows these compounds reduce inflammation in brain tissue, protect neurons from damage, and even help create new neural connections. Basically, they're keeping your brain young. Now let's talk about what's happening to your cardiovascular system, because this is where blueberries really shine. A study published looking at women with pre-hypertension and stage 1 hypertension found something remarkable after 8 weeks of daily blueberry consumption. Their blood pressure dropped by 5 to 6%. Both systolic and diastolic readings went down, and their arterial stiffness improved. Another trial with people who had metabolic syndrome, that cluster of conditions that increases your risk for heart disease and diabetes, showed that consuming the equivalent of about 1 cup of fresh blueberries daily for 6 months led to sustained improvements in vascular function and lipid status. The group eating 1.5 cups had even better results. Here's what's happening inside your blood vessels. The anthocyanins in blueberries help your body produce more nitric oxide, which is this molecule that tells your blood vessels to relax and widen. Better blood flow means lower blood pressure and less strain on your heart. The antioxidants in blueberries also reduce oxidative stress in your vascular system and decrease inflammation, with major factors in heart disease. A large prospective study found that people eating 2 or more servings of blueberries per week had a significantly lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to people who rarely ate them. That's not a small effect. We're talking about one of the most common chronic diseases worldwide. Here's something most people don't realize. Chronic inflammation is at the root of almost every age-related disease. Heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, even cancer. They all have inflammation as a major contributing factor, and this is where blueberries become incredibly powerful. In one study, well-trained athletes consumed about 1 cup of blueberries daily for 6 weeks, then ran for 2.5 hours straight. The researchers measured oxidative stress and inflammation markers. Before and after, the blueberry group had significantly lower levels of oxidative stress, markers, and higher levels of anti-inflammatory compounds compared to the control group. Their natural killer cell counts, those are immune cells that hunt down viruses and cancer cells, were also significantly higher. The anti-inflammatory effects aren't just for athletes. Studies on older adults show similar results. The anthocyanins in blueberries work by blocking inflammatory pathways at the cellular level, particularly something called the NF-kappa B pathway. When this pathway is overactive, it drives chronic inflammation throughout your body. Blueberries help dial it down. Now, you might be thinking, wait, aren't blueberries sweet? Won't they spike my blood sugar? Actually, the opposite happens. Despite containing natural sugars, blueberries have compounds that actually help regulate blood sugar levels. In a randomized controlled trial with adults who had obesity and insulin resistance, basically prediabetes, consuming the equivalent of about 2 cups of fresh blueberries daily for 6 weeks improved insulin sensitivity. This was measured using the gold standard test, the hyperinsulinemic euglycemic clamp, which directly measures how well your body handles glucose. Another study with men who had type 2 diabetes found that 8 weeks of daily blueberry consumption reduced their hemoglobin A1C and fructosamine levels, both markers of long-term blood sugar control. The anthocyanins appear to improve how your cells respond to insulin, which means your body doesn't have to pump out as much insulin to handle the same amount of sugar. How much do you actually need? So here's the practical question. How many blueberries do you need to eat to get these benefits? Based on the research, somewhere between 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup of fresh blueberries. Daily seems to be the sweet spot for most people. That's roughly 110 to 150 grams if you're weighing them. You can eat them fresh, frozen, or as freeze-dried powder. They all work. Frozen wild blueberries are actually fantastic because they're flash frozen right after harvest, when their antioxidant levels are at their peak. Plus, wild blueberries have about twice the antioxidant capacity and 33% more anthocyanins than cultivated varieties. The studies showing cognitive benefits typically used freeze-dried powder equivalent to about 1 cup of fresh blueberries, consumed daily for at least 12 weeks. The cardiovascular studies showed benefits after 6 to 8 weeks of daily consumption. So you need to be consistent. This isn't a one-time thing. The bottom line, look, I'm not saying blueberries are some miracle cure-all, but the evidence is pretty clear. Daily consumption can improve brain function, protect your cardiovascular system, reduce inflammation, and help regulate blood sugar. These aren't just minor changes. We're talking about measurable improvements in markers that predict your risk for major diseases. And honestly, adding a cup of blueberries to your day is one of the easiest health interventions you can make. Throw them in your morning oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, or just eat them straight from the container while you're scrolling through your phone. Your future brain and your future heart will thank you. The research is there, the benefits are real, and the barrier to entry is literally just buying blueberries next time you're at the store. What's your take? Are you already eating blueberries regularly? Or are you going to start? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you found this helpful, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people. Catch you in the next one.